Absolutely.
And also about the Turkey and Netherlands.
Turkey and the Netherlands.
Yeah, there's a lot of that news. I don't know if you've covered that.
I've not. No.
All right. We'll start with the Guardian. Headline is a picture of Maharia Black, MP for Paisley and Renfrewshire in Scotland, the SNP kind of MP, and obviously it's talking about Brexit. That's an article. It's talking. Britain will be bottom of a heap of trade links without a deal on Brexit, headline, so in inverted commas. And Theresa May has been warned as she prepares to trigger Article 50. So that is the big warning for the in the Guardian. And the other story is running in the Guardians is talking that it will be worse than people have first thought, that if the UK leaves the European Union bloc with the new commercial deal, without a new deal there'll be a big problem. So she's been warned to prepare for the worst if they don't get a good deal. And it's true, because there's a lot of issues I don't think she's thought through, and I'm going to quote a few people, some really interesting quotes. One, I'll just mention this one, and this was one of the journalists in the Guardian, and his name is Ian McEwan. He's described the atmosphere in Britain as foul after Brexit referendum that reminded him of a Nazi Germany and an aftermath.
Right, okay.
Reminiscent of the Robespierre's terror. This is in France, in the revolution in France in the 18th century, whatever. Ian McEwan was speaking in Barcelona in Spain last week. The award-winning writer it was talking in the Spanish media, and he said that it was in the Spanish media. It says Brexit a real disaster, and questioned why the referendum rather than a parliamentary vote decided Britain's future European Union membership. 16 million wanted to stay, 17 million wanted to be out. Yes, wanted to leave, but there exists a smaller, very energetic political group. I think you're talking about the people like Theresa May and all the MPs in the Tory party, made up of opaque and impatient people who are driving the process and who speak as if though half of the country were the entire country, which is true. It's really interesting because people did vote to Remainers. There were 16 millions and the 17 millions wanted out. So does that mean say everyone? Does that work? They've got to say that people wanted to remain. Their voice has not been heard just because they've won. Doesn't mean to anything. So that's a very interesting point. And he goes on to say in McEwan, according to El País is a newspaper in Spain, quoting that paper, it's also serious because Great Britain works on the basics of a parliamentary democracy and not through a parliamentary democracy through plebiscites, which reminds him of the Third Reich. So it's very, very serious stuff. Words by this journalist. And the other story is that we are Dutch, we do reasonable, so will they do wilders. Now this is talking about this big spat between Turkey and Netherlands. And it's a tense standoff between Turkey and Netherlands after Nazism accusations, and Europe will have to confront movement against the establishment. This goes on to say the Dutch and the Turkish government are over sort of banning of the Turkish ministers from speaking at rallies in the Netherlands to Turkish migrants. Has nothing to do with the forthcoming Dutch election, because the Dutch election is on Wednesday, and everything to do with the election Netherlands and there were people like Erdogan, the president, has accused him of becoming a banana republic. Okay. And also there's a Turkish minister barred from campaigning in Rotterdam, and also Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu from flying, and later stopped a family minister Fatima Betul from entering the Turkish consulate, and Sayna Kaya, her name is Fatima Betul Sayna Kaya, she was stopped from entering. So serious stuff happening, very, very diplomatic problems, and really big problems there. That's in the Daily, in the Guardian. In the Independent, there's a picture, as you can see, the Turkish demonstrations in Netherlands, and the headline runs Netherlands and Turkey intense standoff after Nazism accusation. The headline runs, though May's disrespectful attitude will bring her down, warns Mr. Clegg, ex-Deputy Prime Minister from the Lib Dems. So it's an interesting point, very, very strong words, because I think that's to do with after Michael Heseltine was really badly treated, because she is getting really big for her boots, to be honest, Miss Theresa May. And I will say again, she was not elected through a proper election for. She was therefore by default. So in that way, she's got to be very, very careful. People, history going to be when they're written. If she does fall, it's going to be a really, really sad situation. Anyway, so the looking at the Independent. Sorry, that side. May's disrespect to bring her down. Theresa May is sowing the seeds, according to Mr. Clegg, the seeds of her own downfall in the way she deals with her party. The ex-Deputy PM Prime Minister Nick Clegg has warned in an interview with the Independent. The former Lib Dem leader said Miss May treated the former Tory, very, very senior Tories, Michael Heseltine, like a two-bit backbencher. Very, very disrespectful, that one. Two-bit backbencher. I've heard of that one.
No, I've not heard that one first time.
Two-bit backbencher. I don't think I know what it means. It's meaning somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about. Backbenchers, and he's been their minister years, and he's very respected. To be honest, I respect him, although I don't agree with his politics. Respect him, Michael Heseltine, more than I respect Theresa May, I'll be honest. That's the way things are. And Europe will have to confront the movement against the establishment. Well, this spat's going on between Turkey and, as I mentioned, that's already mentioned that anyway. So we're going to move on to the. There's other stories as well in the Independent, and this is talking about the. I think that's it. I think I've covered them two stories. I think Independent's got them two stories, and the other one is in the Daily Telegraph, as usual, picture of a serious Nicola Sturgeon. If you can see that picture, tells a thousand words.
Saw that, yeah.
Very powerful to get. You got the madam with really sort of hip hop, the Prime Minister, is Ascot or something like that. Anyway, it's one of the races, and Nicola Sturgeon in the red, and she's looking really. If looks could really kill, that is a really powerful picture. And Sturgeon's last ditch bid to ruin Brexit. That I don't feel. Well, I'll be honest. Scotland's got their lifeline depends on being part of the European Union. That's how they survive. So obviously they're going to fight for the corner. So Sturgeon last bid to ruin Brexit, and will threaten to derail Brexit by setting out plans for a second independence referendum for Scotland. Unless Theresa May offers Scotland a special deal, the Scottish First Minister could name the date she intends to hold the new referendum. So that's interesting. That's going to be an interesting one. What do you think about that one?
Well, do you think it's going to pull off though? Because inevitably, it still. I can't really see it happening, and I think in her own words, she kind of contradicts herself a bit slightly when she says that although we want out, we want another referendum. It's not winnable at the minute. So if it's not winnable, then inevitably, what you want a referendum for? Because you're only going to get the same result. Yeah. So she's kind of contradicting herself
in between.
Quite a lot.
So that's interesting.
So that's the issue you have, is what trust comes down to a trust deficit. Is what politicians are saying, and inevitably, can they deliver on what they're saying? Is it going to change things?
Yeah, and by the looks of it, Theresa May is really feeling very, very confident, very, very thinking that's it. She's in control, but we'll see. Anyway, the other story is talking about foreign aid wasted on green energy plans. I think this story has been running before, so we'll move on to that. We haven't got time today with that one. But the big headline in the Mirror, the tabloids we're on to, that's an interesting one. Look at them. 3 stories there. You've got the one with Theresa May. That's an interesting one. Guess what? She left some diaries on a train. The Prime Minister's diary's been on a train, and guess what? The fears are, it says in the Daily Mirror, terror, threat or fear as the PM's diary left on a train. Picture of Theresa May. The other story is Paul Burrell, the butler from Princess Diana Butler. Apparently is marrying a man, and the headline runs: Paul Burrell told my wife I was going to marry a man, then we both cried. So that's another story. But the big main headline is Madeleine McCann, cops hunt worker at resort. So that story's come back. Apparently they received about £85,000 injection of money to carry on the research for Madeleine McCann.
Right,
so
okay.
this comes after a worker from the resort Ocean Club Praia da Luz. He knew more than he told them, and they're searching for him. The Scotland Yard want to quiz this ex-employee who's vanished since he kept secrets from the police. So this is search is continuing. That's a big headline in the Daily Mirror. Moving on to the Daily Mail tabloid, big picture of dodgy peers. Cover up over dodgy payouts to peers. That's an interesting. So the peers are under pressure. And also Gilly, I think Johnson, I think she used to be a model on Tinder, age not 80. She's very old now, but one of the old models, really sort of interesting. Still looks very young.
Very young, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the secret behind it?
Yeah, that's it. You need to find out what were they eating. Anyway, the big headline though: cover up over dodgy peers. This is a very, very interesting story. Very controversial as well. The Baroness de Sousa, a former Lord Speaker, admits she dropped her probe to avoid public backlash, covering up dodgy payouts to peers over 300,000. So, because it was going to investigate their own, decided to drop it. So they've been at least they're admitting that. To be honest, it's after all that expenses scandal between the MPs. Well, the Lord's no different. So I wonder what our Lord Nasir would think on that inside information.
We've got to get him in.
Yeah, get him in. What's going on? Because we might find out more than they're telling us. But interesting. That's a really interesting story, that one. And very, very... and also the headline runs on the Turkish writers fight police on Dutch street. Dutch riot police battle with more than 1,000 protesters yesterday as an unprecedented diplomatic row between NATO allies Turkey and Netherlands turned to violence on the streets. Tensions escalate after the two Turkish ministers were bored, which I mentioned earlier. So that's we've already mentioned that. And we're moving on to the Daily Express. As you can see, I'll move on to the Daily Express. You see the picture. I promise you today there's no weather on nether situation. They would have said really nice and sunny, but no. Yeah. There's a picture of Madeleine McCann, as well as three of the stories. One is talking about why your garden of secret of true happiness. Interesting. I don't even need to read that story. I know what it's about. Okay. Shall I tell you? Gardening is found out to be a very good pastime, to therapeutic. It makes you feel happy and doing things, and gardening, you've heard of the garden leave, people go on. Well, it's good, it makes you feel good. And I think when people have been recovering from mental illness, they've been doing gardening, and that helps you. So in a way, there's a lot of therapeutic effects, and it's good for you. So that's why they're saying
get doing the gardening then, eh?
Yeah. And the other one is about diabetes. They've been going on banging about this all the time, about diabetes. Drug may be key to fighting dementia, which has been mentioned quite a few times on this show, I'm sure. So that's MPs told don't sabotage the European exit, and that is start within the next 48 hours. Have you had any information on this? It's 48 hours. Another day, 2 days, we'll know. Oh, so it's going to be interesting.
That will be interesting.
Interesting. Anyway, so the headline though is McCann. They got £85,000 to carry on the search, and also there's a story running in the, as you can see, talking. This is one that makes me angry. I'll be honest. This is really, and I want you to have comment on this one. Anger as foreign aid funds terror in schools. Millions of foreign aid is being funneled to Palestinian schools. Guess what? Which paper is talking about this? All right, we don't. Daily Mail's, Wikipedia is the same thing. It's like, what's the word? Fake news is more like. Okay. But it's interesting that real news is that when the Israelis have been Israel's being funded so much to the hilt by American Western power, nobody gives a damn. So they're trying to turn around and say, well, that these Palestinian being given money. This is the hypocrisy, to be honest. This is okay. If there's an ounce of truth in it, but what about what the Israelis been doing in terms of some of the funding and the IDF and all the things they've been doing in terms of terrorizing Palestinians? Mm-hmm. So it just shows you. So this anger as foreign aid funds terror in schools, millions of it just makes it's ridiculous. to be honest, it's just makes you angry, because they're just bringing things which don't really, it's not big news anyway. So the other news is on Kashmir.
Yeah.
We got I think an interesting article. I will bring that in a minute, but I'll mention this one. Pakistan troops exchange fire on Kashmir line of control in Punch district, about 185 kilometres southwest of Srinagar. No reports of casualties. Another incident on Sunday at the Chirakot sector, when a 60-year-old man and a 15-year-old girl in the village got injured by Indian, according to Pakistani reports. The Pakistani Military Inter-Services Public Relation IIM, it's the ISPR, so MISPR. Well, it's short for ISPR, Public Relations. They've said Indian provoked ceasefiring and carried on the ceasefire violations. And the other article, I just want to bring you that in a second, and if I can find it. I did have it, but obviously it's just taking a bit of.
While you do that, I'm just going to pull the story out. It's just come in now. Theresa May unlikely to trigger Article 50 before end of March.
That's interesting.
So Prime Minister won't stop Brexit process on Tuesday amid rumours delays is likely to sturgeon Scottish referendum announcement then. And Theresa May will not trigger Article 50 on Tuesday, but is likely to wait until the final week of March in a move that ends days of speculation. Then Whitehall figures have said the Prime Minister was likely to move quickly this week if MPs and peers sign off as expected on legislation that will allow the formal process of leaving the EU to start.
Right, I've got the article, this one. This is an interesting one. I've put it on Facebook as well, but it's a part of my thing. It's an interesting article by The Diplomat. It's a Chinese newspaper, but obviously it's a very interesting one. It's talking about Kashmir reckoning with the implication of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC. A lot of people have talked about this. Really interesting article, and I think it's interesting because whether you go for or against it, you need to think that some of the positive things for Kashmir in terms of the future. We're forgetting about the resolution, the plebiscite and all that, but just talking about economic and some of the benefits for the Kashmiri community, and especially for the road linking up to China and making it a lot of links, Central Asia. So it's a really interesting article, and I think something positive. That's before you start saying, well, it's I've written a little note on my Facebook, and this is what I wrote. I said, worth reading and reflecting before passing any judgment either for or against is probably the best way to discuss this ongoing debate on the China-Pakistani economic corridor. So that's the best way to put it, is to look at that, and maybe that's something we can look forward to.
Fantastic. Right, okay. Matlub, is that all the paper review done?
Yeah, that's all done. It's nice and quick
and sharp and short and sweet, and that's how we like it. Thank you very much, Matlub, and inshallah we'll see you
if there's any local news you've got, you can mention that. But I
think most of the stories have been mentioned. There's not much actually happening local, to be fair. It's all local.
Next time bring a local one in case, just to fill up if I've got a little time left. Obviously,
absolutely,
I've done it. So
no problems at all. Matlub, you take care. Inshallah we'll go to a nice little track, and then inshallah when we come back we'll be speaking to Councillor Majid Mar from the Green Party, Broomhill, Sheffield Stand Up to Racism event, and there are upcoming events which they have organised, national protests, and we're going to be talking about the new predominantly Muslim country ban, Muslim ban part 2, that has been described by certain individuals out there, and Brexit in and out. Where does Majid stand on it, and what about the implications of Brexit on issues like racism and hate crime and xenophobia, Islamophobia, various other phobias that exist within the society that we live in, and some of the impacts of that as well. Inshallah, that'll be coming up 30 seconds or so to the ad breaks, and inshallah we'll go straight to the ads.
Just one final point. I'll be back on Thursday at the usual time, 5 till 5:30, and then my show after that at 8 o'clock. So jazakallah khair, inshallah hear from me on Thursday.
Fantastic, no problems at all. We'll see you on Thursday then, and jazakallah khair. And that is time for the ad breaks now, and inshallah after the ad breaks then we will have that discussion. If you want to join us, order 142425 and our text 078855 99786.
कम्युनिटी है आवाज़ ईमान एफएम
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मेरे बहनों और भाइयों मैं आपके लिए खूबसूरत प्रोग्राम लेकर आती हूं जिसका नाम है अकीदत के फूल विद शायदा रसूल आप सुनते हैं हर मंडे को 11:30 से 1:30 बजे तक सिर्फ ईमान एफएम पर
Khan Solicitors, experienced criminal defence lawyers in defending your rights. We can assist you get the best possible outcome if you're involved in any criminal matters, including murder, drug offences, sexual offences including grooming, terrorism, fraud and money laundering. We can provide free advice and assistance 24/7 at the police station. Call us on 0114 258 3399 at 351 Abbeydale Road, Sheffield. Visit us at khansolicitors.com. Over 20 years experience in defending your rights.
क्या आप बच्चों की शादी के सिलसिले में परेशान हैं? क्या आप बर्तानिया में ही बच्चों की शादी करना चाहते हैं? क्या आप एक अच्छे रिश्ते की तलाश में हैं? अगर इन सवालों का जवाब हाँ में है, तो आपका मसला हल हो गया। बर्तानिया में रिहाइश पजीर आला तालीम याफ्ता किसी भी बरादरी के अच्छे रिश्तों के लिए आप राब्ता मैरिज हेल्पलाइन से इस टेलीफोन नंबर पर राब्ता कायम करें 01142425 राब्ता मैरिज हेल्पलाइन मुसलमान खानदानों को करीब लाने का राब्ता
Coversure Insurance Rotherham are your friendly local brokers who can insure all your needs, whether it is for your own car, home or property you let. We also have specialist insurers for your shop, restaurants and takeaways. We can cover all aspects of the motor trade and we have some excellent rates for taxis, minibuses and commercial vehicles, including fleet policies. All written quotes can be beaten. Please call us today on 01709 556 230. We are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Sheffield's finest buffet restaurant, Mirpuri Dera, reviving the taste of Asian subcontinent. Extensive buffet with more than 40 dishes.
नई इंतजामिया, नया साफ सुथरा माहौल, मुनफरिद खाने, 40 से ज़ायद dishes, party organizer, मशरकी रवायात का अलंबरदार, halal food.
Mirpuri Dera, Stanifeth Road, Darnall, 0114-244-9199 under new management.
जेड़ा भी पाए एक बारी फेरा, वो आवे बार-बार मीरपुरी डेरा.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम हम आपके शुक्रगुजार हैं कि आपने अल हबीब वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के साथ भरपूर तावन किया आपके ज़कात सदक़ात फिदिया और सदक़ातुल फ़ितर बगैर किसी कमी के हम इंतहाई गरीब पसमानदा इलाकों के यतीमों बेवाओं माज़ूरों और ज़रूरतमंदों तक पहुंचाते हैं अल्लाह ताला आपके तावन को कबूलियत का आला दर्जा अता फरमाए
For more information please contact Maulana Aslam Zaid on 0789 4540303 alhabibwelfarefoundation.co.uk
In a world where accident claims are poorly managed and the referral fees paid are so low, and just when all hope is lost in the city of Sheffield, a hero emerges. A hero so powerful, one phone number is all you need. A hero named Mr. Compensator. For your referral fee of £2,000, call Mr. Compensator now on 0114 3863 386. Terms and conditions apply.
Iman FM. This is Iman FM. You are listening Iman FM 103.1 FM.
Assalamu alaikum then, and a very good afternoon. Welcome back. You're listening to Iman FM's Drive Time Show with me, Nasar Raoof. Inshallah, I'll be with you through to 6 o'clock now, and not long to go. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. As always, Lisa Parker joins us. She says another interesting show. Thank you very much to you. Tariq says, mashallah, nice show. Tariq, thank you very much for your messages as well. of support, and all those people that have liked and shared as well. Jazakallah khair to all you guys as well. If you want to ask any questions to either one of my guests, either my guest or myself, you want something to talk about, then do get in touch with us. 0142425 is our hotline, and our text number is 0788 5599786. Let's go across to our studio guest and give him a very warm welcome indeed. He's joining us from the Broomhill and Sharrow ward in Sheffield. Sharrowville ward in Sheffield, and he's also come on behalf of Stand Up to Racism, which are organising an upcoming event, and we're going to talk about some the group as well, because inevitably Maxine comes on, which is also part of this, a lot of times into the studios. We've never really got to the bottom of what is Stand Up to Racism and what kind of things they cover. Is it just racism issues, but is it other things as well? Because I've seen these guys out and about all over Sheffield, really doing a phenomenal, doing some phenomenal activities. Let's speak to him and let's give him a warm welcome. It's his first time on Drive Time, and it's Councillor Majid Mar. Councillor Majid, walaikum salam. How are you?
I'm good, bro. A bit tired, but I'm excited to be here, bro.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much for coming at such short notice as well. It's always respectful when you guys come into the studio. How's council life?
Bro, it's nearly coming up to a year since I've been elected, and it's a lot of things have been happening. Met lots of new people and working on different sort of projects. And it's honestly been a whirlwind of things happening, but it's got a lot of great stuff done. Had a lot of challenges, so it's all been a learning curve nonetheless. And I feel privileged in the position I am. I also acknowledge the responsibility that comes with, to be honest. So and hopefully I'm doing the best that I can and representing the community.
Majid, one place I would have never guessed you as a youngster to find you in Town Hall. When I saw your name on the councillors list, I thought, well, what's going on here? Are we seriously got the right person? And then we saw, a kid that's born on the streets, raised on the streets, into politics. And then there's certain individuals around me, so, well, hold on a second. And I told a couple of my friends, I rang up, for example, Naja. He lives around the corner from here. Says Majid's a councillor. And he said, what? And the people just don't think it. But what's politics like for you, though?
And also a Green Party council. That must surprise you even further as well.
Yeah, exactly. you traditionally thought, well, majority of them will go towards Labour or odd one, Liberal Democrats. But Green Party never saw that kind of face. So that was a surprise in that sense.
Yeah, do you know what it is, bro? And I never thought I'd ever see myself as a councillor, to be honest. But it's I think as you kind of grow up, I think when I was at university, I was involved in student politics. Even though I didn't know it was student politics, I just cared about certain issues and I campaigned on it. So I was involved in my sports club and MMA, and then I kind of got involved in the council, student union council, and then that went on to me being elected as student union president. And then even then, I couldn't honestly tell you what left, right. I couldn't even tell you much about politics apart from the few issues I cared about. And then when I moved back to Sheffield, I kind of thought I wanted to play more of an active role in my community, and I started to get behind certain campaigns. And I was living in Broomhill at the time, and then I kind of thought, let me see what's out there. And then I know the Green Party was very active in where I lived in the community, and then I kind of thought to myself, I need to see where I can. I just out of curiosity see where politically where my values lie towards, and naturally it would be Labour because all my family's originally been Labour supporters. I think predominantly I'd go as far as saying most of Somali community, probably 99.9% of them. So then I kind of thought, I kind of looked into a lot of the policies and everything, even just the way and the parties work. I learned a lot pretty much, and the Green Party for me is where a lot of my values and principles align with the most, and kind of got involved. And then they were like, we're interested in standing and where you live, and I thought, yeah, definitely. And then alhamdulillah, to my surprise, and I kind of did a lot of campaigning and got elected.
Mashallah. Great achievements. But so it's just started off with a couple of issues that matter to you, and then bang into politics and then start taking things on head on. That was interesting. Let's move on to our issue for discussion then, which is Stand Up to Racism. What is Stand Up to Racism, Majid, and what kind of things does it involve?
So, bro, Stand Up to Racism is a cross-organisation and kind of an active group. So you've got people from the Labour Party, Green Party, some Lib Dem. It's basically it's not a political movement. Basically, it's just an organisation solely there to fight racism. It's an anti-racism organisation, and it does stuff with supporting refugees, asylum seekers, and tackling xenophobia, racism, anti-Semitism. So that's its kind of main core of it, really. Okay. And the main core conveners, obviously, like Jeremy Corbyn, it's heavily backed by a lot of the trade union and organisers. And it's like I said, it's a national movement, and you get all the major cities and towns have got a stand up to racism and group within that organise in different capacities.
So it's not just like kind of racism or hate crime, it's also covers like things like refugees and things you've covered in the past.
Yeah, which ultimately all kind of still come down to racism as well, you see. So like you said, like the name Stand Up to Racism is like the umbrella kind of name of the organisation, but we also do tackle a lot of refugees. So like one of the kind of flagship big campaigns we did was Let the Refugees In. So especially a lot of the child refugees based in Calais, and many people in Sheffield would have seen, for example, from holding candlelit vigils to standing outside the train station spreading awareness of it, to even campaigning our local MPs. So there's a lot of work that we've kind of done since, and even like the Sheffield Stand Up to Racism is such a vast group of people from all different walks of life, to be honest. So it's a great people to be around.
Right, okay, fantastic. And then this is a national thing where it's up and down the country, isn't it? It covers all every little town. What kind of individuals? You said obviously people from political backgrounds, or political backgrounds as well. Obviously there'll be people in there that are not from political backgrounds.
Yeah, that's right.
As well, that are part of this organisation.
So even like you'll have like leaders of like communities. So like the leader of the Yemeni community, the Yemeni and the Sheffield Yemeni Association, so he's involved. So you get like even to students, there's even like students that are just full-time students that just want to get involved because they passionately want to fight racism, especially in the current climate where everything's starting to kind of lean towards the right, and we get the rise of people like the BNP and EDL. I'm sure you may probably cover the EDL rally in Rotherham the other day. So there's a lot of hate going around at the moment. So I think because of that, a lot of people feel the need to actually do something, and Stand Up to Racism gives those people a platform to actually do something.
All right, fantastic. Let's talk about this upcoming event, and then I also want to talk about Trump and your views and your beliefs in regards to that, and the new ban and Brexit as well. But so there's some of the issues I want to touch upon, and if anybody else wants to join us on social media or by text, you can join us as well. The numbers out there on the Facebook live video, and also our studio hotlines 0142425 and our texts 0788 559 786. Let's talk about then the upcoming event that you've got planned. What is it, and what kind of audience are you getting for, and what kind of goals have you set to achieve?
Okay, doke. So basically, the event festival is on March the 18th, which is Saturday, and there'll be coaches leaving the hubs, which is the Sheffield Hallam Students' Union, the kind of big kind of silver teapots, the old music museums, and it's on Paternoster Row. So 8 a.m. Coaches will be leaving, and they'll be returning to Sheffield 9 p.m. on the same day. And basically, the point of it is pretty much just to get as much people as possible, just to kind of send a strong message to the government to say we're not standing for this racism, because obviously we know since the back of the EU referendum there's been a massive rise in hate crime and racism all across the country, and obviously for many reasons, but many of them is because it kind of gave confidence to those people on the far right and those racists to say, listen, we want our country back, whatever that means. So kind of just to send that strong message to Theresa May and the government, and to all those around the country to say, listen, not only do we stand up against racism, we stand with everyone to stand up against racism. So we are really trying to do a call out to as many communities and anybody as possible, and to literally make it the biggest anti-racism and protest there's ever been in the country. And obviously, like, Stand Up to Racism, because of its wide reach and network, it is probably the biggest anti-racism organisation in the country at the moment. So it's we're trying to get as many people to rally behind that and send a strong message.
Right, okay, we've got to one of the text messages. Big up to Majid mashallah, from Farhan. Farhan, thank you very much for sharing.
Mashallah.
So mashallah, he's watching us as well. He's listening to us in his car. So thank you very much, Farhan, for that as well. But let's talk about this event. So basically, you're going out there and you say you want your country back. Those words are quite familiar with another organisation that also says we want our country back. Do you know, out there, when you're talking about racism and you're talking about these kind of xenophobias and various phobias that exist within society, do you think we don't do enough? Do you think the minorities don't do enough in regards to putting themselves forward, volunteering for things, raising things on a national platform, bringing the political change that's needed to get rid of these policies and to bring in policies that will protect them? Do you think the minorities don't do enough?
And do you know, bro, we can, by the minorities, like people from ethnic backgrounds, Muslim backgrounds, Jewish backgrounds, I think we can all be doing more, to be honest. Honestly, if everybody just did a small bit we'd be able to achieve wonders. But whether it's kind of like changing policy, even literally, even this fact that if there was more Muslim people or people from smaller minority backgrounds actually got involved in politics, or not even politics is a dirty word, people call it these days, but even if people actually decided they're going to do some community organizing, even within their own communities, and if everybody did that individually, so you don't have to go and to a big national demo, you don't have to do something on a national scale, but even if you looked within your own community, and if everybody did a small piece of kind of community action, we'll be able to tackle and eradicate racism very quickly, you see. But it's like there's always more, whether it's literally like getting involved with stand up to racism, or within your kind of like even looking at your local schools or other communities, there's always ways. So even literally like getting involved, lobbying your local councillors, your local MPs, and asking questions, seeing what are you doing to tackle racism or xenophobia in my city, like what are you doing, what can we do. Even just by asking questions alone, we'll be able to get a lot more done.
Do you know there's certain criticism out there, Majid, of politicians, of councillors, of when and they always say this, and these words are always echoed to every single councillor I get in my studio, is that though their fantastic elections come around, they'll come out, they'll do a big hoo-ha, and then they'll go back into their boxes,
massively,
they'll go back into their little town hall building, and they'll keep out the way of the public. Do you think a certain responsibility lies on people like yourselves to keep that momentum going throughout the term, to make sure that people actually be part and find you? Obviously, I'm not trying to create any criticism of what you're doing, but the criticism that are out there, and like you said, you acknowledged slightly there by saying politics is this dirty word within society. If that remains the place, then inevitably some of these policies that you're wanting and the way you're wanting to change the government, by standing up to racism and some of these support that you're asking from the government, inevitable policies would need to be made, so politicians would need to be on the side of the people. Do you think the people therefore politicians need to be doing more to connect with people?
First of all, bro, it's people like myself and other politicians that have got that responsibility to make it, to show people that it works, and more importantly, people like yourselves and other people from the community to hold us to account. And it's like, to be honest, one of the many reasons I joined the Green Party, it was purely because I saw that they were campaigning all year round. It wasn't just an election period. And you know that as communities, people, public people, they're not stupid. Like, you can't, people know, this person's only come because it's an election period, he just wants to vote. People are not silly, but it's our responsibility, like myself and other councillors and people who are privileged in this position, to actually remind ourselves, why are we here? Like, why did we decide to stand as councillors or MPs or for whatever reason, and actually make sure that the people are listening and we actually are doing what we've been elected to do, which is to represent the people and not the party, but also just the people like yourselves and general members of the public to hold us to account. Like, to be honest, not many people even know who their councillor is or what their councillor is. The amount of times I get people asking me, what's your role? Like, what is it that you actually do, Majid? And again, it's maybe something that the council could be doing to actually say, no, this is what the role of a councillor is, this is what you need happens, this is what they can help you, this is what they can't help you with. But also, it's as well, we've got the responsibility to actually be not just sitting at, like you said, sitting at town hall, like reply to a couple of emails. We need to be seen in the community. We need to be a community leader and actually be involved in all these events, actually, so people know who we are. People can actually approach us and actually be an integral part of the community, in effect. But but there's 100%, there's a lot that we as councillors and any person in a privileged position to represent people should be doing a lot more.
Right, fantastic. Let's talk about this new predominantly Muslim country ban which is coming in from President Trump. One of his new executive orders he signed, a new ban. Obviously, the first one you were very active, very vocal in as well. What's your views on Trump? Do you think he's starting to slightly ease some of his policies? Because inevitably, some of the rhetoric that gets talked about in the States, inevitably that causes many incidents here. Like, for example, the Brexit caused many incidents here. But before we touch on Brexit, let's touch on Trump and what do you make to the events in America, and how do you think he's calmed down now, or do you think what's happening?
He will get away with anything that he can get away with, and I think the only reason he actually had to come back with the second one is because the first one wasn't legal in the American Constitution or whatever. Otherwise, he will literally get away with whatever he can. And I think it's people like the American people that can actually like change that. And honestly, when there's adversity like Trump and all the hate and all the racism and all the everything that he's been channeling throughout his whole campaign until now, that has caused a lot of people to actually take a step and stand back and be like, whoa, what is this? We're not accepting this. So if there is a silver lining, it's all those people actually coming out and campaigning against Donald Trump and actually saying, no, this is not what America is, this is what we stand for. And actually it was so heartwarming to see, for example, all the airports in America being completely coming to a standstill, all those pro bono people working throughout the entire night trying to actually secure the release of those people from those Muslim backgrounds that were detained at the airport. So I think that there is a silver lining, and I think he's gonna ultimately come across a lot of barriers that he didn't think was possible. Let's be honest, he's not qualified for the job. His whole cabinet is qualified for the job. So it's, as far as they're concerned, they will literally try to get away with what they can.
Let's come down to the Europe and let's talk about Brexit, because where did you stand on the spectrum anyway, in or out?
I was definitely a Remainer, bro. I think there's no surprise.
Okay, you were definitely a Remainer.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so what do you make to the version of events, especially today, especially where Nicola Sturgeon's calling for another referendum, second referendum on the EU? What do you think to it?
Do you know, it's honestly like it's something that did divide the country. Just look at the vote alone, and if it was my choice, we could go back. Honestly, it makes sense if there was a threshold and for the referendum. But let's be honest, the only reason we've had this referendum is the Tories just wanted to appease the UKIP voters by saying, listen, you want a referendum, vote for the Conservatives. We will promise that you will get referendum. And just because his ego was too big, and now we're in this complete kind of situation that we are at the moment. So it's and just especially on the Nicola Sturgeon thing, it's like, if I was Scottish, I can completely see why I can completely understand why I'd want to be independent. Why would I want to be governed by a Tory government that nobody voted for in Scotland, and to be dictated how our lives should be run when we completely got nothing to do with them? They haven't got our best interests at heart. And the simple fact that even when the first referendum was happening, that one of the main things for the Scottish people was like, if you leave the UK, you're not going to be part of the EU and remain, and you can be part of the EU in the single market. And now they've been taken out, even though the fact that Scotland have unanimously voted to remain. So there's a lot of reasons why I can understand why the Scottish people want a referendum and actually want to kind of part their ways with the United Kingdom. But I guess that's a decision for the Scottish people.
Right. Okay. So that's that. Are you one of these now, Brexit remain? Of one of these
Ramona's
people that? Yeah. Are you gonna stick with the concept of remain, and have another referendum if needed, or try and block this one, or not wish it the best of luck in the negotiation stage, or how's things going to go? Or do you think are you one of these ones that whatever's happened has happened, and let's look on to the future, whether that is in or out, or in this case, which is out?
Yeah. Do you know about fundamentally, I want what's best for my community, not just my community, people of Sheffield, the people of the country. If that means that the Tories are going to propose a certain bill which doesn't give the rights to current EU migrants that are living in the country, I will completely be against that. I won't allow any sort of way they're going to be playing like political football with people. So we've had a referendum vote. Okay. It's by the looks of it, it's going to happen. But if there's any way I can personally feel like I can stop any harm from happening, I will. By
some would say on that same spectrum that the reason why this is being done is because that makes a very powerful tool for negotiation with Europe, claiming that many of its citizens either work for the NHS or live in this country. Do you think that kind of breaks the morals of kind of humanity on a humanity basis, whereby that doesn't need to be as an option for negotiation? Because quite literally, the Tory government feels as though it's compulsory to be.
The Tory governments haven't got a spine, but what I'm trying to say is humans shouldn't be used as a bargaining chip. Just as a fundamental human rights, they should not be used as a bargaining chip. And the simple fact that our government is using them as a bargaining just pretty much shows what sort of government they are. And it's like, even like the way they've even been treating the immigrants, for example, or refugees. There's a big difference between, and I think a lot of people can't tell the difference between immigrants and refugees. Immigrants are like, you can get economic migrants and etc., but refugees are people who are actually fleeing their countries because of war or whatever kind of situation it is. And the simple fact that the way our government treated those children at Calais by not accepting them to come in, even though we did promise that's how they would treat us if they could get away with it.
Okay.
So it's I've got no trust or faith in our government whatsoever, and even I've got no trust or faith even with Brexit, because it's whether they'll be kind of doing it for their own favour, for their own gain. It's the responsibility of, you'd expect of the opposition or any of the whole opposition, whether that be the SNP, Plaid Cymru, whoever they be, to actually hold it. And even the House of Lords, great. Like the House of Lords did a great job actually sending it back to the Houses of Commons, but I think it's within our own responsibility to actually try to do what we can.
So we saw that the start of my final question to you then is or second two questions actually. One's about the event and one's the following, is that we regardless of the situation that we found ourselves in, especially when we had this referendum, we saw a lot of hate crime increase, especially within the Sheffield Rotherham area, which I'll talk to you about. In Rotherham you saw women being spat at, the hijabs being pulled from their head, gunshots being fired through the windows, one really extreme case as well, but otherwise shown racist abuse on town centres. They were so scared of coming out. Do you think now that this debate is now continuing and during the negotiation period that things will get really nasty again? Do you think hate crime will increase and to those people that are community leaders, i.e. people like yourself that are out there as councillors and or various community activists, and also authorities like the police and various others that listen into this show as well, do you think that they need to be now on their guard against this kind of incidents because it might increase? Or
do you know what, if you just take it back a bit, so since Brexit there was a massive rise in hate crime, and then the government then introduced the nation's kind of action plan how to tackle hate crime, and like in Sheffield, and I've been involved with different scrutiny, like the Safe and Stronger Community Scrutiny Board, which we kind of decided to set up a task group to specifically look at hate crime. So I've been working with the South Yorkshire Police and different third-party reporting centres just to look at ways we can actually get more people to report it and to deal with. Because first of all, we've got this issue when many people aren't reporting hate crime, and many people don't even know the difference between hate crime and hate incidents. But basically, it's for us, we need to make sure people are reporting it, whether it's getting the information clearer, making sure the police are using the right literature, and we're getting our communication a lot clearer. But it's also even small stuff which makes a big difference. For example, if we actually because we know a lot of hate crime happens on public transport and as well as a nighttime economy. So say even on public transport, if we're currently working with First buses and Stagecoach, if for example every single bus driver and train and driver or tram conductor or whatever literally got, as part of their training, got told what hate crime was, what to do if you see it, how to report it, and how to deal in that situation, as well as just putting material around saying, if you see hate crime, please report it. So there's lots of small initiatives like that happening, and since the rise of that. But just going back to your question, so once it does get triggered, there will be probably, I can only envisage there will be another kind of rise, because it'll be massively in the topic again. And again, so it's something that we're trying to prepare for now by all the work we've been doing since then. But I think it's an ongoing battle, to be honest. It's not something that's going to go away very quickly. Even throughout the whole of Europe, you've got Marine Le Pen and Front National rising, you've got Pegida, and so I think there's a massive kind of populist right-wing agenda happening throughout Europe at the moment, and I think it's something that we all...
I wish I had a long time, because the next question would have been to you is politicians like yourself to blame for some of the rising hate crime, in the sense that certain people would not vote for certain politicians, and because of them not voting could have impacts on which person got the seat or which person won. Or for example, in certain perspectives, if we put something into perspective for you, is sometimes people are so dismayed with, i.e. the Labour Party, or i.e. the Conservative Party, or i.e. the Green Party, whatever that may be, and on whatever issue, and then for some reason, because they've lost their trust in politicians, they will waste their vote, or either they will vote for another party because they're not the same. So they're not the same old person that, it's the same old Labour councillor, I'll vote for this because I'm not getting her to. And do you think issues like immigration is one of the biggest ones that people touch upon? It's other politicians don't seem to be having that discussion, while UKippers are absolutely craving them kind of discussions.
And just so you ask, so basically, bro, it's with I forgot what it was. So okay, so first of all, I think here it is. So basically, a wasted vote, in my opinion, is a vote you don't believe in. I think as people would sometimes forget that we elect these people, we put these people in these positions. If we don't believe this person's not fitting the bill or not doing what they promised to do or representing us, it's only the people that can change that. So it's, and I think a lot of people, like maybe people aren't voting enough, but it's, we as people have got the ultimate decision to do that. And just on the topic of immigration, it's we as a society, we need to be having those uncomfortable conversations. We can't, like you said, UKIP or great, they'll have those conversations, whether it's Labour, Greens. We need to be having those conversations, otherwise we're going to leave that debate and that room for UKIP to take, you see.
Okay, we're running out of time, Majid. We'd love to keep on continuing to you, but I just want to give out the...
It fell down to government policy, that's why.
Okay, go. Saturday, March the 18th then is the event. Coaches leave the hubs at 8 a.m. Then if anybody wants any further information, get in touch with us here at the studio. We can also give you the flyer for that as well. And Maxine Bowler's on internet, and Stand Up to Racism is on Facebook as well. Check it out. And Majid Mariz as well. So any questions, get to them, guys. Jazakallah khair for everybody tuning in. And Majid, thank you very much for coming.
No worries, bro. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Time for the ads.